Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for watching the Storytelling Alchemist show on the Los Angeles Tribune here every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Tonight, my guest, I met, I guess about 6 or 7 months ago. It's been a little while. We met through a mutual friend named Kevin, who's been on my show as well before. Her name is Jane Dawson, and she's an incredible person and an extraordinary medium. And I say that because we were in a meeting probably about 4 or 5 months ago, and she is the only person that's ever brought my paternal grandfather forward and gave me details about him that only people in the family would know. So definitely the real deal. I am excited about having her on the show, and I'm going to be asking her some questions that were brought to me on social media by people that follow me on social media. So Jane, welcome to the show, and thanks for being here with me, even though you're on the other side of the pond 5 hours later than me. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. I'm delighted to be here. And you know what? I don't remember giving you that message from your grandpa, which often happens to me once it's out my mouth. It goes from my thoughts, but I'm so happy and delighted that he got that communication through to you, and I can feel his strong energy now as I speak about him, actually. So yeah. Isn't that beautiful? He's sort of given us both that strength. Yeah. I should say to your listeners, Jeremy, in case they wonder what language I'm speaking, I am actually speaking English with a Scottish accent. Some people find that rather challenging, but I am speaking slowly, so hopefully your listeners will be able to understand me okay.
I'm sure they will. And funny enough, I think I told you that my best friend is from, one of my best friends is from Leeds. So I always jokingly say to him, he speaks with a Scottish-British accent. Okay. And he's like, what does that mean? I was like, sometimes I think you're Scottish and not British. And he's like, oh, just shut up.
Well, Leeds is a strong accent within itself.
Yeah.
It's different. The Scottish tend to have a sort of sing-song accent, yeah, and that's what makes it so difficult for non-Scottish people to pick up. So, but you managed fine, Jeremy, so respect.
Well, maybe it's because my last name is McDonald and I'm supposed to understand.
Maybe you were fighting the clans. You're one of the ones that fought on Culloden Field all those, I was going to say millions of years ago, exaggeration, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah, could be.
Could be. Past life, baby.
That'd be great. So, well, let's just jump into, how did you get into this world of mediumship, psychic? Because I know you didn't always work in this world. Like, what brought you?
No, and you know, I like to be very informal, Jeremy. I think you probably know that about me already. And I like to laugh and have fun. And I know that the spirit world love that. They are not gloom and doom. So I never want to offend anyone when I do speak lightly about things. But like I call it like my spiritual gig or whatever. But what happened was basically, let me read it succinctly off the back of my book here. It's better than me rambling, and then you can ask questions about that. Okay. So, Jane Dawson, me as you know, Jane Dawson's world was turned upside down when her much-loved father, that's him there if you can see, when her much-loved father died of cancer during the pregnancy with her youngest child. 3 months later, however, during the birth of her son, Jane's father showed up to assure her that all was well and to prove that he was still very much alive in another dimension. Since that incredible meeting of spirits, Jane in this world, her father in another, and her unborn son between the two, Jane has been able to see into people's souls and to connect with her loved ones who have passed, their personal spirit helpers, and their angels. And then I go on to say that I now work at mediumship and everything. So that was the basis of this. I had no spiritual sort of experience before then. I didn't think I could do anything like that. But an interesting thing is, Jeremy, that since about the age of 10, I was intensely interested in what happens when we die. And most little girls are probably playing with their Cindy's and their Barbie dolls, or, you know, today it would be their phones, I guess, but I'm of a certain generation, Jeremy. And anyway, this question gets so intense in my mind that I actually went along to a spiritualist church, which we've had for many, many decades in the UK. And I know you guys are sort of catching up with that now. Now, remember, I was 10. So, I mean, I was born an adult, which is often what you find, who people are quite inherently sensitive or spiritual. And so I wasn't far off this height. So I went along to this church on a Sunday afternoon, and it was all dusty, and there was a man in a grey suit talking, and whatever I was looking for, it was not satisfied during that meeting. So after that, sort of life got in the way, schoolwork, and then finding work, studying, relationships, all that kind of thing, until this happened when I was 39. And as I said from that little summary from my book, my father took very ill with lung cancer. He had it for the second time, and we knew he was going to pass. He didn't, but I did, and the rest of my family did. This was the medical profession had told us. This was not a psychic thing. So I was newly pregnant. I was like 3 months pregnant at the time, and we were all devastated. And my poor daddy had lung cancer, and it's really a horrible type of cancer. No cancer is pleasant, but my dad's lungs filled up with fluid, and he couldn't sleep, and he was so scared. He was a big man. He was a big Glasgow policeman, and then a publican. I'd never seen my dad like weak and crying before. And I thought, I've got to do something to help this man. So there was a gentleman at my work, and I worked for the UK government at the time, and he was doing this, what I thought was newfangled Reiki. So I asked him if he could teach me, and he did. And for people that don't know, Reiki is a form of energy healing that sort of had a Japanese basis to it. And so I went along to his house, and I learned Reiki with him, and he inducted me into the energy of Reiki. They use a lot of symbols and such like, and everything draws energy. So this drew energy to me, and it was quite an experience in itself. But when I returned home to my father and I asked him, can I give you Reiki? He had no clue what it was. And he said, yeah, fine. And he was sat in the chair, and I just put my hands on his shoulders. And I felt this tiny embryo move inside me like weeks before I should have done. And all of a sudden, my father was very still. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done here? But I looked round to the front of the chair, and he was actually sleeping, and he couldn't sleep at all. So in those days, I thought healing was about making someone physically better. But now with these years of spirituality I've learnt since then, I realise it's not about that at all. It's about giving someone peace in the moment. It can be about making someone physically better. It can be helping someone to pass. It can be helping with an emotional or a spiritual issue. We don't know exactly what it does, but I do know that it's hugely beneficial. So then fast forward 6 months, nearly 6 months, I was nearly, fast forward 3 months, excuse me, I was 6 months pregnant. I get called to my dad's bedside at the hospital. He was in a coma. I hadn't told him that I was pregnant because he was like, they'll never see this child. So he was lying there comatose, and I whispered in his ear, Dad, I love you. I'm having a boy, and I want you to always look after him, please. And he just died within an hour without responding. Oh. So then 3 months later, when I was given birth, I felt as if I could possibly pass myself at that moment. So I refer to it as my near-birth, near-death experience. But just at that moment, I felt my soul leave my body, and bang, my dad and I's energy just met and blended. I'm like, Dad, you're here. And it was an amazing knowing this. And it made me realise what the spirit world is like. And it also, later on, after I thought about it, my dad actually answered my request for him to always look after my son, because the son hadn't been born yet and my father was there. Oh. And also when I realised later that my dad could see my path or my potential paths in life. You know, when you're in the non-physical or the spiritual world, you can see everything and know everything backwards and forwards in time. And I believe I had a number of paths to walk, or potential paths. And I believe that my dad decided to accompany me on my spiritual journey. But also something that I learned laterally is that part of my dad's energy is almost certainly focused in my son's life this time around, because this is how reincarnation works. That was another one of my questions answered. So the soul that is my father, Jim Dale, will always be in the non-physical realms for us to communicate with, for them to send love backwards and forwards, healing, whatever we need. But also part of that larger soul will come back to another earthly life. Yeah. My son has the same eyes as my dad. My dad was a policeman, and he was always overwhelmed by professional people. He thought professional people were God. Again, that's a generational thing. My dad would have been about 100 if he was still now. And my son is training to be a lawyer, and he was obsessed with the police when he was young. So I can just see all these similarities. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. That's powerful. Can we go back really quick? Because I feel like you and I have such a similar experience. Because 10 years ago, I think I told you this once, my mother passed away. And she, about a week after she passed away, stepped into my body and said, "This is what heaven feels like."
Wow.
And I lost the sensation of my body for about 15, I thought it was an eternity, to be honest with you. It was probably like 15 seconds. And I lost all sensation of anxiety, pain, and I felt like I was a drop in the ocean, but I was also the whole ocean.
Yes.
And since then, my healing ability, I always just said I was a psychic, I never, and a coach and a speaker. Since then, I've been doing a lot of healing work, hands-on healing work, and even have had experiences where I felt her hands come into my hands. And
absolutely.
And so it's almost like she did the same thing, like brought her energy in to soften me, that divine feminine aspect, I guess, is the way, and that motherly aspect that I, anyways, I just related to what you were saying.
It's beautiful. I mean, that's an incredible gift to know, to feel the energy of the non-physical realms like that, and to know what it's like, and to also know that our human brain tries to make us forget that that's who we really are and what we really are, because of course the human brain is part of the human physical body and is concerned mostly with getting through this life, having, but not things that are spiritually rich, things that are physically rich, which in fact doesn't really serve us as spiritual beings having a physical experience. But that was a wonderful gift. You've got the femininity of your mum, you've got the strength of your lovely granddad, and you have this amazing healing energy. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's spirit does gift us, don't they? Well, and it really is us allowing. So
it's absolutely allowing. But one thing I've got to say, Jeremy, and I don't know whether you noticed this too, but I know that I'm speaking to so many sensitive people, so many of our viewers and listeners when I say this. But if you are sensitive, you are likely to have issues with self-love. And I went through most of my life in extreme self-hatred. I was so bad. And my journey towards self-love went along with my spiritual journey. And it's changed everything, both of them together. Now, I was born into a family that was very critical, typical sort of West Coast Scotland family. The father was the breadwinner, the mother stayed at home and made the food and fed the men first because they were more important. And I had this challenging relationship with my mother, and actually my father really wasn't there all that much. He certainly was never present in the spiritual terms of being present, if you understand what I mean. His mind was always elsewhere. So, and I very much blamed that for many, many years, decades, on the fact that I hated myself so much that I never felt love. But just before my mother died, she was influenced by her own soul. She was in hospital and she was near the end of her life. And all of a sudden she just said to me, "Jane, do you know that I've never liked myself?" And I'm like, oh my God, it was like the shutters lifted from my eyes, because I could see why she treated me the way she did. And I'm like, Mum, you shouldn't just like yourself, you should love yourself. She says, "Do you think so?" I goes, "Mum, I know so." I said, "Believe me." And then we're in a hospital ward, and then she just said, "Can you bring me a sliced brown loaf? I'm having visitors tonight." So we were gifted a moment of clarity that changed everything for me. And when my mother passed, I was crying hysterically for 4 days, not because she'd passed, but because I felt we wasted our human lives together because of misunderstanding.
Isn't that the thing that happens to a lot of people? Relationships end. I mean, parents and children get estranged. Friends.
Dynamic.
And it's all mostly, I think they say 90% of all disagreements are misunderstanding.
Yeah, and perception, whatever. But that was an utterly healing moment. And, about the day 4 of my crying, I could feel the energy of my mum and dad just gently come towards me. I was sitting on my bed and it was like, all is well. And I stopped crying and I've never cried since. And that was 6 years ago. So I'm deeply grateful for that experience too.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Beautiful. So do you mind if I ask you one of these questions and then we'll continue on?
No, I'm absolutely delighted.
Yeah, so I've got Mary. She's got 2 questions, but I'm going to ask the first one here right now. How do I develop a strong relationship with my bio family who are all on the other side in heaven? She's wanting to connect with
right.
them.
Well, Mary, firstly, I could feel a gentleman. He's putting his arms around me, but really he's putting his arms around you to secure you. He's sort of standing behind me and his hands are coming around and one's on each arm here. And it's like, "I got you, Mary, I got you. I've got your back and I want you to know you're fine." And I know someone has been unwell in the family because he's talking to me about the illness here. First of all, Mary, I hope what I've said to you really helps you. But our beings, our spirit beings, our spirit friends, they try to express to us all the time that they're there. They give us signs, and they will actually drop thoughts and inspirations into your mind when you're least expecting them. If you put a question out there, you will get an answer. Sometimes it will not come to you straight away because you're not in the right state of consciousness. But nothing that you send to them, no thoughts that you send to them go unheard, and you pick up all the thoughts that they send to you. Imagine you've got a satellite dish here, Mary, and you're just tuning it into the different vibrations, but you are surrounded in love. I mean, there's lots of family members here from two families, and they're all looking in. They're looking in on you. Now, there's talk of a young man, Mary. This could be a son or a grandson to you. I know this man has sort of light fairish hair. I know that it has a bit of a wave in it. So I do feel very much that they're sending so much love, healing and encouragement to this gentleman. Mary, I do have to tell you, are already mediumistic. I don't know whether you know that or not. But there's a gentleman here who works as a spirit guide to you. that is just a particular influencer from spirit. It may or may not have been a family member, but my book is called Be Your Own Medium, and that's what you're effectively asking, how you can be. One thing I have learned is that we are all mediums. Just open your mind, just let your imagination go, because they walk through your imagination, through your creativity. With you, Mary, I feel it would be very good for you just to write, just calm your mind and just write, and I think you'll get some lovely information. I can see now a lady drawing a rose at the side of your writing paper here. Don't stress, have fun, be creative, Mary. Those things are all top tips. And also look out for some work and events and courses that hopefully Just and I will be doing over in the US of A. If you're in the US of A, Mary, would love to assist you with that. God bless you, darling.
Mary, did you hear that? Writing. Did you hear that? So I know Mary well. So I'm going to just say to her, remember writing, because she'll laugh at that, because she knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, the roses, and I can see roses in a vase as well. So roses are important, and they're also a sign of love from the spirit and a memory.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, we have a few more here. I got Terry. Okay. She'd like to know about her son in spirit and his surroundings. He has shown me bits and pieces, but I'm always curious to know more. Also about his ascension process in spirit, or in general. I've learned so much from him in spirit. So. Right.
Now, law of attraction rules everything, including our passing situation, including our spiritual situation. And isn't it interesting that I actually saw a son surrounded by people, and then we went on to, was it Terry? Is Terry the current questioner?
Terry. Yep.
Terry's the current questioner. So I do believe that was leading into your question, Terry. So firstly, I have got to say to you that I do know that he has been looked after by so many family members here. I do know that, how can I put this? Your son would be in a strange, sort of odd headspace when he was here. I do feel that there was a lot of indecision, a lot of maybe feeling that everything was against him. I don't know his method of passing. I don't know how he passed, Terry, but I just want to tell you that all is well with that. Now, I think there must be a link to Austria with you. I'm very aware of a man at the side here talking about Austria. So I wonder if you know about that. It could be Austria, it could be Germany as well. It could be a connection back to the wartime. Maybe you could check that out. And also a link to Australia. And I don't know if you've travelled to Australia, but I do know that I feel so much laughter and fun and great times over there. Also, the name Helen's coming through for me, or for you rather. So I hope that makes sense. The Ascension Process, as I said to you, everything vibration is everything. So we naturally go, and we're with who we vibrate with. So remember, in spirit, we don't need a body, we don't have a form. We can create anything we wish to. We can be anywhere we want. Maybe it's your son maybe it's your son that's in Australia just now. Do you know what I love about spirit beings? When we travel, they go with us free, Jeremy. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. So the other thing that I do want to say to you, Terry, and everyone else who's listening, sometimes the spirit does not stand in line for a connection. So if you find some bits are for you, some bits are for the previous lady, some bits are for the next lady, don't worry about it, listen to it all. But here's a beautiful card for you, and it's teamwork. Work with others to make this situation come about. And that's actually what I was shown by all your relatives working with your son, actual teamwork there to assist him and comfort him with whatever he needs. And so this also applies to you. We can see where we've got the cat, and we see we've got the unicorn, two completely different species. But yeah, let's work together. So what I said about relationships here, Terry, Abraham Hicks have got a favourite phrase, which is, we don't want you to forgive, we want you to forget. So people around who are irritating you or whatever, just forget. I just ask the universe to surprise and delight you. God bless you, honey.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I know that her son in spirit likes to mess with her a lot. And, he's a little bit of a jokester, I think, with her sometimes.
Is it okay? Well, they're all speaking with him, so maybe they're talking to him about that. But lovely energy anyway. Do we know who Henry is? Do we know the name Henry? I just heard that name there, so it could be for you, it could be for one of the callers, but a lovely gentleman, good manners, principles, but kind. He's telling me that himself.
Not sure. I had a step-grandfather named Henry, but I'm not sure if that was him.
Did you live in a ranch, or did you have like a decking or something like that, a porch?
Yeah, there was a 24 by 16 foot porch between my mother's house and his house. So yeah. Because
that's what I'm saying here. So take the love, take the love there.
Awesome. I'll receive. Okay. So Anne asks, she goes, I'm writing this from my mom. She would love to receive a message from my late father, George Norton. And then she goes on with another question, says, my question would be to Jane, when she reads, does she hear through telepathic or vision? So I guess that's two things.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when I tap into George's energy, I just feel it in my heart. So I know that he loves you and your mom. And I think there's some male members of your family as well, so much. I feel that he's around your mom all the time. And you as well. And thank you for encouraging your mum so much. There's also a grandma here who also wants to come in and just say thanks. Typically, she would wear the gold watch with a little handkerchief there, the little laundered handkerchief. So we are going back a few years here. Now, I can feel pain round about my lower stomach, my lower gut here. Unknown whether this is the passing condition of George or whether this refers to someone here. I feel something like diverticulitis. I hope that's the right name of it. So if anyone's having problems with their tummy and they haven't had it checked out, please go ahead and do that, okay? But also, we never worry anyone with negative predictions or anything like that. So I hope that makes sense to you. What is this lady's name again?
Anne.
Anne. Okay. So when how I connect with those in the non-physical or spirit friends, I basically just hold the intention, right? This is it now. I'm going to connect. No, nothing fancy, no ceremonies, and they're always there. They're always there. But I shift my focus to connect with them. And then they will work with all my senses, same as well with you. They will work with your your spiritual vision. Sometimes you'll actually feel you're seeing it with your eyes. You might hear something come in from your ears. You might just have a thought, an inspiration, or a name or a word drop it in. You might have physical things here. I also know of a man here that's drawn me to his throat, and I know there would be tobacco involved somewhere around this illness. Now I've just seen a joey, a kangaroo with its hands in its pouch. So that looks funny to me. I think there must be a joke about that. But again, I had mentioned Australia. Now, here's the thing about this and connecting with the spirit world. It's very simple. It's very natural. I used to get very steamed up about it. I studied at Arthur Findlay College, and that was good, but it was also bad because everyone was judging you all the time. And that's very difficult to overcome if you have any degree of self-loathing. It could finish you, but I'm very bloody-minded. So if you're learning, I hope you're learning with someone who's gentle and not critical, because I know I've taken people who have never connected with the spirit as far as they know. Obviously they have, but they aren't aware, and they have given wonderful mediumship readings at classes because they're relaxed. I get them to use their creative self. They don't know what's coming next, and this magic comes out. So relax, prepare yourself, do your breathing, meditate, and just let it flow. Come learn with us, Anne. We'd love to have you on board.
Yeah, and just real quick before I ask the next question, everybody, Jane and I are talking about doing some events here in the United States, and also over on the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
So we're going to be working on that here very soon, potentially here in Tampa or in other parts of the country. Terry, I know Terry's got a connection to Sedona, so that could be
wonderful.
an event. And
someone has a connection to Canada as well, Jeremy. I'm hearing that very strongly.
I have a strong connection to Toronto and also Calgary.
Well then, look in that direction, darling.
So there's definitely, and I've been feeling Canada for a while. So,
okay.
But yeah, that could be definitely, I would love to go up there. I don't know if you know, I could be on a plane full time and just be as happy as I could be with my laptop and a suitcase.
Yeah. Well, there you are. You know, let the universe surprise and delight us. We were speaking about that before we came in here. But this is a really good tip for everyone. I let the universe surprise and delight me. Yeah, I picked a card for Jeremy and I could understand it as well. And it was let go of control issues. Because really we control nothing. If you think about what we control, it really can only be our thoughts. And your thoughts will start a negative way, but I pull it back very quickly now. I have to work at it. And I say, no, and let the universe surprise and delight me. It never fails, trust me, as long as you keep that positive vibe.
Yeah, that's good. I love it. That feeling of that you're going to be successful no matter what.
Yeah,
the universe is just like, did you like that present?
Did you like that? Did you like that?
Was it good for you?
Yeah. But what's key is to have fun and laugh. You know, I have got a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. I've always had, probably because I'm the firstborn. And then I decided to buy property and become like a landlord, and you know, and it's nothing but responsibility. And for too long, that weight of responsibility ruled my life, and I could not get my vibe up. But now I just make it my business to laugh and have fun, and not to just ask universe to surprise and delight me. Stop trying to make things happen myself. And this is very, very, very current for me. As I say, I have to work with it. But please, people, that's the way to have a wonderful life.
Wonderful. One last question here. It's from Elaine. She says, I will be going, well, she said, I guess she's seeing you. I can't.
She's coming to see, yes, I'm doing awards in Glasgow. Kirkentillach. Try that one, Jeremy.
I'm glad you can pronounce
Kirkentillach.
I was like, Kirken what?
Try it, go and say it.
Kirkentillach.
Very good. Very good.
I told you McDonald's last time.
Yeah.
So she says, my son and myself are grieving for their cat, Jerry. He died suddenly last week. And she's just, I guess she's just wanting to see if you have a message for him, from the cat.
Yeah. I do, you know, when our pets go, it's devastating. I lost my little doggy this year, and I used to call him Wee Man in Scotland. That's the affectionate term we have for a male, a son, a male dog, a male cat, you know, anything, Wee Man. And Monty was my wee man, and he was with me for 18 years, and he'd seen births, deaths, divorces, house changes, you know, and he'd been by on my side. I'm going to start crying myself if I don't watch. And it's actually what we were saying about the Queen before we came on, the Queen's passing. She was there. She was a steady thing, the same as an animal is round about. It's always there, and it sees you through these life events. And when the animal goes, you're left devastated. But actually, animals they don't have the issues we have with thinking and analysing, and they don't know they're going to die. So when they pass the spirit, immediately they're back with you, jumping around. And I can see Jerry doing that. I don't know whether he's telling me back to when he was a kitten, but I can see like a ball of black wool, which probably relates to someone in the spirit world who he's with. I feel like a grandmum or a mum, and he's just jumping on this ball of black knitting wool. So that will tell you who he's with. But our pets are always by our side, and they will give you a sign. You might hear them, You might feel him rub against your leg. You might think you see him out of the corner of your eye. Any of these things, you might see a cat that looks exactly like him. These are all signs. In fact, in my book, I talk about when my golden retriever, Tasha, died, and my husband at the time was going through a bit of a difficult time, and he was out running at his work, and there was like an 18-mile perimeter fence that no one could climb over. It was the Ministry of Defence, and he's out running, and all of a sudden he hears woof, and he's looking around. He's like, "What is that?" There is absolutely no dog in sight. And then he hears it again, and all of a sudden he feels fur up against his leg, and he puts his hand down and says, "Hello, Tasha." She had visited him at a time of great stress, just to say, "I'm here." And man, did she love to run in open spaces. Oh. And he didn't see her, he heard her, and he felt her. So our pets are always looking to comfort us. So just acknowledge them and they'll do more. I have to mention a little robin. I know that someone's seen robins in the garden, and again, that is very significant. It's easy for our friends in spirit to influence animals to do their bidding. And also I can see a cuckoo clock, if you know what that is. Again, it's an Austrian type. I can see the side of it for some reason, but I'm seeing that. So I hope that helps you, darling, and I look forward to seeing you in Kirkintilloch.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, that was great. And so I think that too, like one of the things you mentioned about pets too, is that my Rottweiler will come in, and almost every medium that it gives me a reading, they'll be like, "There's this large dog sitting next to you, and he lays his head, he leans against you." And he was a Rottweiler, and Rottweilers love to lean their large body against you. And so,
but you know, dogs can be soulmates. Animals can be soulmates for sure.
He was my soulmate.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's why I'm saying that. And he's there for reassurance and comfort and protection, all those great things.
Yeah, he pulled me out of a Great Depression when he came into my life. I was in such a hard depression that I didn't ever think I would get out of it.
Yeah. And did you call him Rocky? Was his name Rocky?
Max. Max.
Okay.
But I was his full name was Plabius Maximus. He was named after the gladiator. And he was not even close to that kind of personality. He was the biggest gentle giant in the world.
I can feel him. But someone must have an animal called Rocky, either at home or passed over, because I feel that very, very strongly. That's a beautiful story, Jeremy. And I'll tell you, one time I was in a state of altered consciousness, and I won't tell you why, but that doesn't matter. And I was looking at this dog that walked past, and I could see the healing energy radiating from it. And this man put his hand out to stroke it, and I could see the dog absorbing this man's stress into its own energy. And I said to the owner, "That's a healing dog. That needs to work with kids." She said, "I'm training him to be a helper for autistic children."
Oh.
So that's amazing. So dogs have their purpose too, and they come with us via law of attraction with everything else.
I'm going to share your website really quick, and it's janedawson.co.uk, right?
.co.uk, yes.
Because I just figured we just jump on here and look at it, and it will also, as always, guys, it'll be in the description of the show as well.
Yeah.
But this is her website, and see if there's any.
Thank you so much for that.
And so we got a weekend coming up. This is
I do lots of psychic and healing weekends. I'll do them on my own behalf, also do them for tour companies here and apology companies. I'm very fortunate. I've worked in America several times. I've worked in Spain, France, Ireland. I'm very, very blessed. But people get so much healing from mediumship, and from if you are an open-hearted, loving person, you can really help people to move along. That's my book, Be Your Own Medium. I just want to say to people, be careful who you consult for a personal consultation. If you don't feel that person's high vibe or not the same vibration as you, stop the reading. And if anyone says anything that worries or frightens you, disregard it and stop the reading, because we are here to bring comfort and healing and love and not to frighten people. Other mediums have said things to me that I just have went, okay, no, I'm not listening to that. Like I was going to end up in hospital, I was going to have this operation, this was going to happen, that was going to happen. And now I just put my hand up and say, stop. Don't put that into my head, because these things can get in and affect your thought process, and that's not the job, purpose of a great medium or a great intuitive or psychic reader.
I think Edgar Casey said a psychic is one that connects to their soul. And
absolutely.
And so if they're giving a message to the soul's never going to want to hurt or harm. So
exactly, that was wonderfully said. But of course, there is ego. We're all humans, so mediums and psychics have ego. It's a fact, and not all mediums or psychic are spiritual in nature, because spirituality to me is about kindness and loving and all those wonderful high vibe spiritual things. You can connect with the spirit world and be intent on negative purposes. So just be aware of that. For your listeners out there, not a dire warning, just be aware.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a good warning, and something for people to be. It's called discernment, because when I first started in this world in 1998, I got addicted to getting reading, because somebody just was so dead on, and I was going through my of course you hit it, is letting go of control. And I was really upset about something, and I just could not let it go. And what Spirit's taught me since then, if you let it go, sometimes you get exactly what you want. That you just have to let it go, and or you'll get more than what you want, because it's never less. And so I went to this psychic, and I'd been paying for all these readings from different psychics just so they could tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Jeremy. Look, if I say to people, have you been having a lot of readings and say yes? I go, stop, just breathe, take a minute. You already know the answer. Oh yeah, I know, but don't but anything. Stop now. Particularly, if people say to me, oh, do you think this relationship will last? Well, by the very fact that you are asking me that question, you have doubts about that relationship.
Yeah.
So go home, raise your vibration, ask the universe to surprise and delight you, and then sit back and see what happens. Don't force, don't push. I know it can be incredibly difficult sometimes, but truly everything will work out wonderfully for you.
Yeah. Well, and that was the point I was going to. This one psychic I went to, she wanted to sell me a candle for $100.
Oh.
And this is like 24 years ago, and I was like so desperate in my feeling. And then what I've learned is my own, as a healer myself and an intuitive psychic, it's if it's not a message to empower somebody, if I have to rely on another person, like this person, she said she was a witch and all that other kind of stuff, then it's not of highest and best good. If you have to manipulate somebody, or if you have to get somebody to do it for you, what you mentioned, go home, get in a higher vibration, and allow it to come in, and that's something that is that's helping us get into a higher state of consciousness. So.
Absolutely. I mean, we could put ourselves out of business by saying this.
Hey, that's okay, because then there'll be another business that comes in. It'll be just as fun. Then we get to go travel, and you and I can sit in like Japan,
go
and have
to
lunch.
Hawaii and Japan. That would be nice.
Yeah, Hawaii behind me.
I love it. I've been. It's a fantastic place. But seriously, for great mediumship, for great healing, you will always have clients, because people will find you. People will be drawn to the universe via law of attraction. Will make it happen. And I always think that there is a reader or a healer for every vibration. So if someone who is feeling quite negative in life puts it out there for a healing or a reading, they have to be careful they don't attract someone of the same vibration. Then that's just doubling it.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah. We're putting good intentions out there, and then it doubles. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how when you said, oh, I'm so desperate, you came across this woman, you attracted this woman who was there to basically make money from you and not basically help you to heal.
And fulfill that and make that desperate feeling even more desperate.
Yeah. I just picked a card for everyone, Jeremy, and it's prosperity.
Yay!
I love it. So, this is a horn of plenty. I used to wear one of them round my neck, and I think it was the 80s. I hope it was the 80s, not the 70s. But this card talks about abundance, and Jeremy and I were talking about that very topic earlier. And the angels are saying, your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. So again, what we've been talking about, keep your vibe high, get that inspired, those inspired thoughts, follow them. Yes, if you are led to do something, definitely go after it. Or if you have an amazing opportunity, just like present it to you from no place, that I think has happened in your life fairly recently, Jeremy. Go for it. And prosperity, expect to be abundant in all things.
Well, I receive and I say yes. And for the ladies that asked your questions, because I know at least 3 of you, and I know you're all our healers and intuitives and psychics out there doing your work, abundance, and just expect it and know it.
Yeah. And stop feeling that you have to apologize or not good enough, because I feel that very strongly with at least one particular person who spoke to us. You know what I find, that people are healers just by their beingness. You don't actually need to go and lay hands or send healing to someone. You can be in a room and someone can be sending out healing, or they can be sitting at home sending out healing without even realise what they're doing, just by their high vibe. So bear that in mind. It's really important for everyone to bear that in mind. We're so busy doing rather than just getting our vibration high, and then that's when we can really help ourselves and everyone else. Don't put pressure on yourself. You know, that's not the way to proceed in the spiritual work, although that is what we do as humans with brains and egos. We want to try and do our best, but it goes against spiritual and creative thoughts and inspiration.
Wonderful. So I think you just answered my last question, and I was going to, but just in case, I'm going to ask it anyways. Is there any last minute wisdom that you would like to give the viewers before we wrap up the show?
Right, just what I've been saying, try your very best to be happy. I want to sing, look on the bright side of life. I'm sorry for singing, folks, but seriously, it makes such a huge difference in your life. I can testify to that in my own life and others' lives. Even friends will say to me, they'll send me a wee message saying, thanks so much for making me lighter, or make my life lighter. And I don't even been aware of doing anything as friends. I'm just spending time with them or whatever. So I think it's a lot of the energy of fun and laughter. And I use a very crude expression, but I'm going to share it with you because it's effective and people will remember it. Put everything that's negative in the fuck it bucket. Put your worries right in that fuck it bucket, slam the lid shut, and don't bother going back there. Ask the angels to absorb all, or to send all their loving energy to it, and then change it into love and just shower us all with it. Give it to the angels. Don't try and fix things yourself.
That's beautiful. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's going to be your signature now. The fuck it.
Yeah. Well, people know me. Trust me, it's in here as well. People know me by the fuck it bucket.
That reminds me of Osho. Do you remember his video on the origins of fuck?
No, I don't. I'll need to check that out. If you don't watch Abraham Hicks, people watch Abraham Hicks. That is truth with a capital T, and there is very, very little truth with a capital T in this world. As we were talking earlier, Jeremy, everything's perspective. There's very little objective truth, but I do really feel that Abraham Hicks is truth with a capital T. They're law of attraction experts.
Wonderful. Well, everybody, this has been a great show as usual. I'd love to have Jane on the show, and definitely we're going to have to bring her back again.
Brilliant. I've loved it.
So, and next week, I have my friend Dr. Patricia Howe coming on the show, and we're going to be talking about the shadow. And she's the president of the Metaphysical. Well, she's the director of events at the Metaphysical Society here in Tampa, and also she is a former psychotherapist. So I figured she would be an expert on that subject. And so it should be a great show. And everybody, again, thank you for tuning into the Storytelling Alchemist show on the Los Angeles Tribune. Much love to everybody and blessings.